Hey guys, Set here, and today I'm bringing to you a video on how to make the most of Rapid Bakugo. So here are going to be some tips and tricks as we analyze this match and see what it is that you can be doing to make your Rapid Bakugo as strong as you possibly can. If I've missed anything or anything you want to add, feel free to put it in the comments, but please watch the whole video and take into account any nuance and context I put to these tips before you write anything. That way we won't crisscross over each other. So the first tip I want to give, when you have somebody's back and you can hit them freely, and no, I don't mean have somebody's back as in Chris Benoit about to do a German suplex. What I mean is, when you have somebody's back like this, you can shoot at them because they have not seen you yet. Their back is to you, or they are occupied, or they're in a state of weakness where you can attack them without them replying to your attacks for a few seconds. I would generally recommend for you to not jump around or to go airborne. Instead, I would say stand your ground, strafe, and use your alphas. This way, jumping in the air and using your alphas is not going to set you off. It's not going to take you further away from the opponent. It's not going to jeopardize your positioning. So what you want to do, when you have somebody compromised and they can't attack you back immediately, stand your ground, strafe for movement, but stay grounded. That way you can get your most accurate shots off as Rapid Bakugo. Now, take into account not all situations are the same. If you have threats around you, maybe you are going to want to stay more mobile. But when you are firing in the air, you are going to be less accurate because you are going to be thrown back from the momentum of the shots, and it could possibly, if you have a good position, that momentum could move you out of that position. On top of that, some instances where you might want to actually do that again is if you have other people around you that are enemies who might start focusing you. But if you have a few free seconds to just lay into someone, just stand your ground, stay at a good distance, and make the most of that alpha. And then once they clock onto you, or before they're just about to clock onto you, then you can start going airborne and then continuing the fight in your advantage. Another thing you can do if you are not feeling too safe with that in general is if you jump and fire, you can move forwards while you're jumping and firing, and you will still go backwards from the momentum, but you won't go back as much, which might be an alternative for you if you don't want to stay grounded when taking advantage of someone from behind. Not in that way, you filthy, filthy people. See, as you can see, when you're in the air, it's a little bit more difficult to hit your shots as reliably, which is why if you do have somebody caught unawares, you can just use that extra second or two before the fight really properly starts to get some more accurate shots before you begin mosquitoing your way around them in the air. Another thing you want to use as Bakugo is the combination of your beta and your gamma, as seen right there. You can hold the beta to go for longer, or you can hold it for less if you want to end it early. And then when you're prepared to go down to the ground, you press the gamma and he will drop down from where he is down onto the opponent, and then they will hit that gamma, hopefully. You know, you never know with this game. And then that will be your combination of beta and gamma. Now, something to know about, as you're going to see, when you land the gamma from the air after the beta, or even if you're just in the air in general, Bakugo is pretty much going to go straight down. He goes forward a very tiny bit, but not that much. So when you are looking to do a gamma downwards, make sure you are pretty much just right above them in terms of your vertical positioning. As seen again there, you see Bakugo essentially just goes straight down like an elevator almost. An elevator with a slight curve to it. Now another thing, when you're following people as Rapid Bakugo, there's a few different ways to do it. There will be people out there that will tell you that you should go the exact same mobility route every single time. But that's wrong. Because sometimes you don't need to use the mobility route that takes you the furthest. Sometimes you need to use the one that makes the most sense for what you're trying to achieve. If you overshoot your mobility, you may as well have, you know, not gotten far enough in the first place. So, not every situation requires the same combination of mobility tactics when you're putting your beta and your special together. Just keep that in mind. You can also do some tricks with your alpha if you turn your camera around and fire and go backwards. I wouldn't necessarily recommend any of that. I think it's very extra, and I don't think you need to be doing that. So I'm going to keep it to the basics, which is what you're more likely to be doing in high level games. So as you can see here, when I'm following this Bakugo, I know I have him on the ropes and I want to catch him. What I use is a beta, followed by another beta, and then I use variations of the special action to chase him down. Now that is not the quickest or the furthest reaching way to use your beta and your special action for movement, but it was what made sense for me to do in that moment, and it's what worked for me in that moment. The results don't lie. You can get further with other, combinations of those two maneuvers. But sometimes you don't need to use the same one every time. And the more maneuvers you know, the more you can apply it in different situations. As you can see here again, like I was saying before, I had the advantage on my opponents. So I stood my ground and I hit most of my shots because I had more accuracy from being on the ground as opposed to jumping around needlessly, because I didn't have any aggro on me at that point. Would have gotten that gamma off if you didn't put that thing off and hit me. Such a shame. Another tip as well, when you're using the beta, if you're having trouble hitting people with your beta to land into your gamma, it might be because you're trying to use your beta to land where people are rather than where they're going to be. Sometimes when people are moving around in this game, they're not going to stay in the same spot because this game is a very frantic game. So if you go using your beta to where someone was, by the time you get there, they might not be in that position anymore. Check this out. Entered his little personal space. So yeah, what I'm basically saying is, rather than using your beta to go to where they currently are, see what they might be moving to. Are they moving towards an item that they can see? Are they moving towards one of their downed teammates? Are they moving over towards one of your downed teammates? Are they going towards a place of safety because they need cover? Try to ascertain where your opponent is moving to, and instead of using your beta to go to where they currently are, try to use your beta to go to where they're about to be. And in that way, you can meet them at the same point, and you're more likely to hit your beta and also be in a much better position to hit your gamma. If your opponent is standing still, or they've got like some sort of leverage point where it looks like they're not going to move, then go to where they are. But if they are moving around, going to where they are with the beta might be too late. Just try to figure out where they're gonna be. Beta, special action, beta, special action. That's another way that you can mix the beta and the special action together to go farther. So again, variations of those two to take yourself in different, different places, different needs, different actions. You'll also notice, why did you go so low at that bottom part to use a special action again? That's because I wanted to use the tree as cover. So this is a general mobility thing for most characters. Using your mobility through things like a tree can make them lose you, because it's one more barrier of stopping them from seeing where it is you went. So it's not always going to work, but it's again one more thing that they need to overcome. So if you use a tree like that, they don't know if you went for the tree and left, tree and right, tree and straight. It's a gamble that they're going to have to take, and it takes them away from your eye line, which works for you. Remember how I said you can go to where somebody is, and that's your best way of getting somebody with the beta and then into the gamma? I did that without even knowing where the opponent was to begin with, through that concept alone. Because my teammate went down here, and I knew the last time I looked there, enemies were around that point, and why wouldn't they be? Because they got my teammate down. I traveled to where I thought they were going to be using the beta, and then used the gamma as soon as I possibly could once I reached that area to hit them with said gamma. So, you know how I said before, try to go to where they are and then use the gamma? That's what I did with the beta. I used the beta to go to where I thought they might be without even seeing where they currently are at this point. And then I used the gamma to hit them. So again, it's all about anticipation, because your beta cannot be, whizzed around with the greatest of ease. It has a bit of a drift to it. You can't do a perfect turn. So making sure that your angling is correct before you do it is very important. So again, I had to get a little bit closer to use the gamma, but you saw exactly what happened there. I used the beta to go to where I thought there was going to be, which was on top of my friend's corpse, and then I used the gamma. And of course, staying central to the ground there while I hit my shots for accuracy. Now, as soon as I see that, you know, I'm not quite as safe as I thought I was, I'm back in the air again. Game over da. I personally like to level up my alpha and gamma first. So I might go alpha 4, gamma 4. I'm not gonna. Here's the thing with me. I don't do the same thing every time. But if I was to be advising you guys, I would do alpha 4, gamma 4, and whichever you feel more happier with, get that thing to 9. I always put the beta last because I feel like it more or less does the same job regardless. I know things might be different, damage, cooldown time, blah blah blah, but generally what I need from my beta I can get from it at level 1. Whereas my alpha, I want as much damage on that as possible. My gamma, I want as much range on that explosion as possible. Man, I really wish they gave Bakugo a new basic combo. His one is so bad. Also, I know some of you guys might get onto my case about this. My usage of the team heals in this game wasn't great. I know that. You don't have to tell me. It's not the focus of this video. So again, I know. In some instances, as you saw just there, you can actually use Bakugo's jump kick with the beta. That was an instance where you could use it. And you can use it with the gamma. I guess that's kind of a mixture. But you get the drill. You can use it with the beta, you can use it with the gamma, you can use it with the beta and the gamma, provided you didn't knock them into iframes throughout any part of that. I wouldn't necessarily look to try to do it, like, you know, specifically. It's just something that might come to you, the way that just came to me then. It's just something, if you come across the opportunity to do it, you'll do it. If you won't, it's probably not going to change your game that much. Not really Rapid Bakugo thing, but I like to always sprint around and jump about. Keeps me harder to hit, keeps me more mobile, keeps me in the mindset to be quick, to be fast. Just something for you guys to think about if you don't do that already. Sprint and jump around everywhere. Just, again, if someone catches you unawares, you're not going to be a sitting duck. See, look how many shots I'm getting off for free there because I'm just keeping my ground steady. I'm not doing any unnecessary movement. I'm just focusing on hitting my shots. Again, it would be different if I had someone hitting me from the left or someone very close by to me that wasn't a friendly. But in the instances where I do have some time to myself there, just again, stay grounded, stay level-headed, and just get your shots off. And then when you start to see attention coming towards you, then start becoming mobile again. Another thing as well. When you use the gamma on the ground and you knock the opponent up, if they don't recover in time enough, you can shoot them with your alpha. So that's something to think about. When you do your whole beta into gamma or just your gamma, when you knock that enemy up, there will be opportunities to hit them immediately while you're still in the air with your gamma. Sorry, with your alpha. You just saw it there with that Ada. So that's another thing you can do. Bang, gamma. Up in the air, aim at them, fire as much as you can straight away, get some extra damage. And that could be the difference between taking them down straight away or putting them in a very bad position for them. So I think as you can see here, it was, did I take him down with that? I can't remember. Oh, that was nice. Look at that. That was very nice. There's another thing you can do. Beta, gamma, beta. But I think the only reason I was able to get that third beta damage on them is because the first beta didn't do damage. So something for you to think about as well. I think if you baited, gammaed, you can't get beta damage again. I don't think. But it's not a huge deal. But you can check that one yourselves. But again, it's very easy. If we either know it or we don't. Once we do, just add it to your repertoire. And you might say, Set, how did you know they was in there? It's because, I'll show you. I saw him go there. So I knew he was there. And it was just a matter of going there with my beta. Again, knowing where the enemy wanted to go. I know he went in there because he probably wanted to get a revive or whatever. You know, so again, it's using your opponent's intentions against them. Let them reveal where they're going to be and what they're going to do through their own actions, and then punish those actions. And unfortunately, our Shigaraki decided that he had enough of this match and he left. Oh wow, Set, you're so lucky. Seriously, guys? You really think anything I do, any position I take, is luck? I don't claim to be the best at aiming in this game. I don't claim to be the best at combos or tech in this game, but my positioning is always very good. I stood behind that car because I knew it would make the Todoroki very, it would make the aiming at me for the Todoroki very difficult compared to me for him. Because then I could just jump up, shoot him, and then come back down on the other side of the car, and that gave me cover. Now when that Aizawa pulled me that way, the reason why he didn't get that isn't because I was lucky or because he was unlucky. It was because my positioning lended to me being in a place of safety. So that is another thing for you to think about. Use the terrain around you to your advantage. It's there to be taken advantage of. Another thing as well. This works against Idas. This works against Kirishimas. This works against any character that wants to get close to you. It's not completely foolproof because good players will close distance on you no matter what eventually. But when you jump in the air and you fire your alpha, remember we talked about before, you want to stand your ground to be more stable in your shots. That's a benefit to staying stable. Sorry, to staying grounded. But when you jump and fire, you go backwards. Now, I said that earlier as if it was a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing because in some instances, it's the right choice. Because in some instances, when you do have a character that wants to get close to you, if you jump and fire and you go backwards, you are constantly creating distance with that character, which will make it a bit harder for an Ida to get closer to you, a bit harder for a Kirishima to get closer to you, a bit harder for a Aizawa to get closer to you. So as you can see, when I come out of this building with him, I jump fire and it takes me away from him, and I probably dodged his beta because of it. Or at least the idea was there. So it makes them harder. So it makes it harder for them to get to you because you are creating that extra bit of distance. And sometimes that extra bit of distance is enough to make their attack whiff, to keep you safe, or to make them think, I don't want to take this fight actually. I always like to have a spare special action in the bank. I try to not use everything at once unless I'm very confident. If you see me use everything at once, then it means I'm confident that no matter where I land, I'm going to be able to work myself out of it. Ooh, look at that. Another great example of what I told you guys earlier. When you gamma somebody, just like I did to that Ida there, and he's up in the air and he hasn't recovered yet, my alpha was the difference between him going down immediately or having a chance to get back into the game. If I don't get that there, who knows what happens? Maybe he runs away from me, maybe he picks up his friend, maybe he resurrects his friend, maybe he comes down later, like 3 minutes down the line, and beta kicks me and ends my match. Who knows what happens? But because that little tiny bit of extra damage there was the difference to get him out of the game, it made a big difference. So again, the way I'm using that jumping alpha to create distance. So again, just keep note of that. See, at this point, I should have used the better group heal, but I messed up, and then I tried to rectify my mistake, but then a Bakugo showed up and it got in my way. So I made a mistake there in my hastiness. See, I should have used that straight away, but I messed up. It's bad of me there. So you're starting to get a gauge from watching this match, hopefully, of how you want to apply your gamma, when you want to apply it, how you want to apply your beta, and when you want to include a gamma after it, or when you want to beta again. Sometimes I like to create, close distance by doing 2 betas in a row. Beta, beta, now I'm at where I want to be at, and I have 2 special actions to get myself out of there if it goes wrong, or continue chasing if that's what I need from that situation. Again, some people will be like, you should never use 2 beta twice in a row. That's wrong. Not because it isn't right, but every situation is different, and the more of a handle you have on your moves and your special action, the more you're going to know what you need to do for each situation. Because sometimes, yes, doing 2 betas was the right move, and that's what got me close enough to hit the beta and then down the guy. But then other times, doing 2 betas might have been a terrible idea. I'm like, why the hell did I waste both of my betas doing that? I didn't get what I needed. I had no betas the second after when I needed at least one. You know, again, it comes down to the situation, the circumstances. So again, don't be hindered by what you think are set in stone rules that you've heard from Rapid Bakugos here and there who you never even watched play, but you're listening to them because they tell you something on the YouTube comment section. Sometimes you need to do what the situation calls for and not what your combo list tells you, not what your guide on somewhere else tells you. Learn your moves, get familiar with them, and then you will tell yourself, okay, in this instance, yeah, I do need 2 betas in a row to get over there, or no, I'm just going to use the 1, or I'm not even going to use any because that's not what this situation needs right now. Okay, if we keep this rate of analysis up, my video is going to get too long and I won't be able to post it. So I guess just kind of like fly by the rest of it. So again, gamma into alpha there. So again, start getting used to that. Start practicing that if you are a Rapid Bakugo. Some of you, if you have trouble aiming your alpha, like, just aiming it well enough, try to follow the opponent with your shots. So again, try to follow their movements. So if they're running left, don't try to hit like their backside, because then by the time those shots reach, they probably went left enough to be out of the way of the shot, if that makes sense. Try to aim a bit ahead of them or on their center line, and then that way you can follow your burst of shots with their movement, just as an example. This is a great final area for a Rapid Bakugo. That double down with the gamma. Remember, even using, I wouldn't recommend using a lone gamma on its own unless it's in situations like that where you have, the time and space to do it, or the chaos to do it. Because the grounded gamma is a bit slower than the air gamma. And obviously you have no hyper armor, so you are vulnerable if someone knocks you out of it. So I always like to keep one thing in the pocket, whether it's a beta or whether it's a special action. This is some genius work here. I'm about to show you what I mean by that. When I'm on the building and the Todoroki is on the floor, we can both shoot at each other. But remember when I said when you jump and fire, you go backwards as Bakugo? what you're going to see me do over the next like little bit is I'm going to jump and fire at the at the Todoroki sometimes. And what that's going to do is it's going to take me backwards as I shoot. So I'm going to shoot at him. And then by the nature of my air shot, I'm going to go backwards onto the building, which provides me cover from his shooting from below. So in a sense, I can shoot him and he can't shoot me. Now, of course, he can still hit me. It's not impossible. But it's so much harder for him to shoot me than it is for me. Like, if you were to scale it the percentage-wise, I got an 80% chance to hit him. He's got a 20% chance to hit me. And that's what you're going to see here. And I use that fully to my advantage. I don't give up ground. I don't have to. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi against Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. I got the high ground. You need to come to me. I'm not going to go to you. So it's about here I figure it out. Look at that. I'm back. Before he has his chance to try and fire back at me, I'm already back on the middle of the platform. And I've whittled him down enough from that exchange that now I can just pressure the guy. And again, always keeping something in the pocket for me to use as mobility. And there you have it. I didn't start using the trick near the end because I knew he was super low. It was just a matter of finishing him off at that point. So yeah, there you have it. 13 KO Rapid Bakugo game, 10,000 damage. Hopefully you saw a lot of stuff in this game, both spoken and unspoken. Anything you want to clarify, just ask in the comments. Again, I don't know absolutely everything about this character, but I do know a lot that can help you and improve your game. So hopefully you found this video worthwhile. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching.